Excellencies, Mr. President du Faso, even though we see progress, we still have 3 major requests to make of you. Your Excellencies, Mr. President du Faso, we have heard that even though the law has set the marriage age at 18, there is an exception for those who are 16. Can you tell them to set it at 18 years without exception if possible? This would help protect all girls from early marriages, letting them stay in school and enjoy their childhood. Your Excellency, Mr. President du Faso, we are extremely pleased and grateful that you have established May 15th as a day to allow us to learn more about our cherished tradition. But we're worried that our grandparents might think they can exclude girls and marry off kids. We would like to ask you, if possible, to officially speak to them to explain the meaning of May 15th, the Day of Customs and Traditions, in all languages. Your Excellencies, Mr. President du Faso, our parents have explained to us that the law stipulates that children who commit minor offenses should not go to prison, but rather perform light work, such as weeding the CSPS or cleaning the schoolyard. Could you ask the judge to enforce this decision? This way, kids won't end up in jail and get exposed to bad stuff. Your Excellency, Mr. President of Faso, we know that you are listening to us and are ready to act to protect us. These changes mean a great deal to us and will significantly help us in having a much brighter future ahead. Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President of Faso, for always thinking of us, protecting us, supporting us, and building with us a Burkina Faso where every child can be safe, go to school, and succeed in life. We thank you.
Hello, everyone. You are all very welcome here. So you all are the esteemed deputies today. And I guess everything went very well in reality. Did the ministers respond well? Were they convincing? All right, thank goodness. In any case, there is a lot of the initiatives we have undertaken for the children. And indeed, everything else we do is also for the benefit of the children. You are the future of this nation, the future of the homeland. So everything we do is for the kids. First and foremost, you need to understand that. Every initiative we undertake is for your well-being so that you can thrive. Live therefore in good health and go forth with confidence. School is fundamentally about flourishing and doing everything you can to contribute positively to your country. We've started a lot of things, but there's still plenty left to do. It all depends on the pace at which we live. As you can see, there are a lot of kids who are also displaced.
Mr. President, there has been a long discussion about how long you will stay and when you will organize elections. How long will the transition last? Is it today? Do you have an answer to this, or do you think it is not a priority? For you, how long will Captain Ibrahim TRAORE be in charge before organizing elections to step down?
I was going to ask you a question in return before answering you.
I'm not here to answer questions. Sir,
it's a debate. It's nice. If today, in 6 months, we decided to abandon the people, you, as a very objective man, aware of our situation, what would you say? What would your comment be?
Honestly, I prefer to stick to that, even though you know my true thoughts.
All right. Since we've been here, we haven't taken a single day off. The whole exec...
But when you say that, politicians say, this is our job, since there are those who do it. They do their job. We want to return to democracy. We want to go back to parliament with people who are elected. We want to let the people speak. Are we staying like this or setting up a new model? They learned here. We don't want them learning elsewhere and applying it here.
To put them on the right track. They learned their profession. This profession is... We don't want people to learn this profession elsewhere and come apply it here. We want to create a model. Because the way things are done here is in fact not the right way.
For you, sir, President, there's no question of talking about organization, about elections and transition.
Yes, we're going to organize the local elections right now.
So we need to reset everything.
No. Aside from the system that's in place, which needs to be reviewed, the elections, they concern all of Burkina Faso. Do you think they are ready today to go to Soleil, to Falangonto, to campaign like... But they are Burkina-based. They must definitely vote.
First, we need to get the wire through.
There needs to be a minimum level of security so that if there's a campaign, people can go everywhere in Burkina, explain their ideas to the Burkinabe people, and the people will choose, because it's no longer about distributing goods. There will be reforms on the electoral code. It's over, that's it. If you get caught up in this, you will be disqualified. Well, I'm not going to get ahead of Iran in the water, but I can tell you that there are reforms coming. This way of doing things, of buying people's consciences, is over. Our mission is to awaken people's consciousness so that they never accept this again. If you think you can govern the country, you need to explain your political program. What are you going to do? And maybe after a while, the people will evaluate whether you should continue your term or not. In short, we won't say everything, but there will be reforms in the electoral system. And to participate in the elections, all Burkinabés must vote.
His Excellency Duma Gideon Boku, after him comes the head of state of the strong people of Burkina Faso, His Excellency Captain Ibrahim TRAORE. Members, the full meaning of Burkina Faso means strong men and women of integrity.
I was at the mixed high school in Dakarville, for example, in secondary school, but I was living in Sarfalau, which is about 7 kilometers away. But I tell you, I walked for a long time. In the morning and in the evening, I would walk back and forth until a friend of my older brother lent me his bike. But I believed in what I wanted. It was, how do I put it? It's a conviction. What Dad taught us since childhood, as I was saying, he guided us. We always wanted to be better. And that meant we never gave up. The goal was to always be better at school, and that meant that nothing could distract us. And the education we received, even if we didn't eat, doesn't mean we should be discouraged. Yes, because the 3 years, how shall I say, the secondary years, it was not so simple. It was a bit difficult. 1 meal a day very often, but it doesn't matter. I cooked myself, I did everything myself. But I had to stay focused on the goal. What mattered to me was that by the end of the term, I had to achieve a certain average, and that was it. The love of being a soldier has always been within me. As I said, my dad was a soldier before he became a nurse. Since childhood, I was always learning with those boots, those heavy helmets that were at home, I would wear them. So I know they knew I had a love for the profession, but my mom never wanted to have a military child. And in 4th grade, I took the excellence exam. And in 5th grade, my teacher was determined that I would pass no matter what. The British competition, but the mother fiercely opposed it because she didn't want it anymore. She surely saw the suffering of the dad as a military man, so she did not want any of her children to be a military man. She refused. I keep working. I have a scientific inclination, which is why I pursued a scientific track all the way to university, where I was studying geology. After high school, I knew I could still be in the Army region, but she refused. But when she refused me something, I couldn't push it, because if you force it, it's not good. So I continued in my master's year, still at university. I asked again. I said it's the Army that I want. I was doing well in geology. I could do whatever I wanted, you know. There were a lot of scholarship opportunities because I wasn't exactly the bottom of the class, you know. But it was in my master's year that she gave me permission. And I took the academy test. I went to do my training, and there you go, I became an Army officer. I was convinced if she gave me her blessing, she told me to go for it this time. So I was convinced, I knew what I was doing.
Take a look at this. I want you to look at this video. All these things you are seeing like this are made in Burkina Faso. All this is armored tanks, war trucks, a lot of them. Take a look, it's massive. How big it is. And all of them is made in Burkina Faso. To tell you that Burkina Faso is fully ready for France and ECOWAS. So however they are preparing, these guys are ready. Take a look at this. All these are homemade. To tell you they are ready. They are fully ready. Burkina Faso is ready for anyone. And I can tell you that the level of development currently in Burkina Faso is amazing. The level of development currently in Burkina Faso is top-notch. Captain Ibrahim TRAORE is not joking. This man has made Africa proud. This man has proven his worth. If you see the levels of development in Burkina Faso, you don't even need to argue twice, because he has built one of the largest hospitals in Africa currently. Like one of the largest. I have a friend that is in Burkina Faso, and sometimes if I contact him, he'll say that the only thing, he used to say one word. He says that the only thing that is hindering Africa's growth is our colonizers. He said it, that the only thing that is hindering Africa's growth is our colonizer. That if I see the way that Burkina Faso is changing day by day, that I would love to relocate to Burkina Faso. To tell you that he's overwhelmed, that he didn't even believe that government can develop this fast. He didn't even believe that country in Africa can develop this fast. And it's true. The man is free and to shock you, he's not even borrowing money to do all these things. He's not even going to the IMF or to the World Bank to achieve all these things that he's doing. And that's one of the best things, from his own capacity. Which African president is doing it? Even I can't even see how many African presidents, the ECOWAS leaders, that are doing it. How many of them? Different African countries always borrowing from IMF, World Bank, and with nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. If not because of private companies and private industries that are building infrastructure, what is the government doing? So I'm so happy to have a place like Burkina Faso in my time. I'm always speaking about this country, the land of upright men. These guys are like giving me that joy to be an African. To be honest, take a look at this. This is amazing. This is great. I couldn't even believe my eyes to see that the whole thing is homemade. The whole trucks are homemade. Can you imagine? This is beautiful to behold. They are ready. They are fully ready to tell you they can even manufacture their own things. And it's just 2 years. Captain Ibrahim TRAORE has just stayed for power 2 years. What if this guy do 10 years? If he stay for extra 10, let me say 8 years. Let me just give him 8 years. If he stay for extra 8 years, can you believe how good, or let me say, how amazing that country is going to be? Somebody said that we should just hand Africa over to Captain Ibrahim TRAORE. And it's true. It's true. We should just hand Africa over to him. I believe this man can change a lot in the whole of African continent. He can do a lot, with no doubt. He was. I normally tell his people that this man is God sent to you guys. He's God sent, and I just pray that you guys should do everything to protect him. You should do all the necessary things to protect him. It's a pride to the African continent, not just to Burkina Faso, but to the whole of African continent. Take a look at that. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Homemade, assembled in Burkina Faso. Can you see that?
Monday, September 30th, marked exactly 2 years since Captain Ibrahim TRAORE of Burkina Faso came to power through a military coup. Throughout that period, a lot has happened in the West African nation of 24 million people. And by a lot here, we mean the economy, politics, and international relations, just to mention a few. But before we look at the issues case by case, let us briefly recount how 36-year-old Captain Traore found himself occupying the highest office. Between January and September 2022, Burkina Faso was under the rule of another military officer, Paul-Henri Damiba. Damiba himself had overthrown President Roch Kabore in January, citing public dissatisfaction with insecurity in the country. After ruling for 8 months, Damiba was also ousted over the same concerns on September 30th, 2022. That incident resulted in the then 34-year-old Traore ascending to power, making him one of the youngest leaders globally. But how has he fared? He has managed to establish Burkina Faso's first state-owned bank, nationalized at least 2 gold mines, and grown the country's economy by 3.6% in 2023, which was his first full year in charge. He has also formed a new alliance with Burkina Faso's neighbors, Mali and Niger, which are also under military leadership. Traore has also led Burkina Faso into cutting ties with former colonial ruler France. On the flip side, Traore's administration continues to face a major challenge of containing insurgency. Burkina Faso's transitional government also has strained relations with neighbors Benin and Côte d'Ivoire. Captain Traore recently alleged the two countries were coordinating with France to destabilize Burkina Faso, an allegation that both Benin and Côte d'Ivoire strongly rejected. The transitional president's critics also say he has strategically delayed a return to civilian rule, but the government says insecurity renders elections unachievable. Traore has also pulled his country out of the West African regional bloc, ECOWAS, saying Burkina Faso felt its interests were not being championed by ECOWAS. The transitional president has instead joined hands with Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, which recently unveiled a common passport to facilitate the movement of its citizens within the new bloc. There are over 70 million people in the 3 nations. In 2023, insurgent attacks in Burkina Faso caused nearly 8,000 deaths. According to the Africa Center for Strategic Studies, that number accounted for 67% of insurgency-related deaths in the Sahel region that year. Data also shows that more than 2 million people are internally displaced in Burkina Faso. Due to the insecurity challenge, Burkina Faso announced in July that it was extending the transitional government's tenure by 5 years. That means the current administration's mandate ends in July 2029. But even with the mentioned challenges, Burkina Faso's economy grew by 3.6% in 2023, while inflation slowed from 14.1% in 2022 to 0.7% in 2023. The African Development Bank says in its report there was improved food supply and more tax revenue collected in Burkina Faso last year.
How many African presidents will sit like this and listen to children from schools who are not up to 18 speak to him one-on-one? How many African leaders will go to schools and sit down and tell the children about his upbringing or their upbringing, how they were trekking long distances just like Ibrahim Traore had done? How many African leaders would reduce whatever it is they are doing, spend time with people? How many African leaders will move into a hall and they'll be celebrated the way Ibrahim Traore was celebrated in Ghana? This is achieved.